Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Pivot podcast, where we sit with executive coaching leaders to talk about how they built their businesses and what's helped them to stand out. We dig into real challenges, hard learned lessons, and the trends shaping the future of the industry. Joining us today is Joan Burge, who's widely known as the pioneer of administrative training industry. Someone who didn't just build a company, but fundamentally changed how the world views executive assistants and the value they bring to leadership and the organizations. Hi, Joan. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, nice to be
Hi.
here. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
It's great to have you. So for listeners who might be newer to your work, would you be able to share a
Mhm.
little bit about your journey and what it was that led you to start Office Dynamics?
Yes. So I started Office Dynamics in 1990, but prior to that, I worked in the profession for 20 years. And I worked in 12 different companies in 5 states. So I saw it all, and it wasn't because I was a bad assistant. I was just eager to learn and to grow. And then we moved because of my husband's career. There were different times we moved to different states. What was so cool about that I didn't realize at the time, but now I see it all, is that was my training ground. I mean, when you work in so many different companies, and I could observe different management styles, how leadership worked. There were so many people dynamics going on, work dynamics, understanding cultures, and all of it. So that was great experience for me, and that's why today too I'm able to talk vastly about so many things within the workplace because I was exposed, to so much during my career. And then it got to a point where I wanted to do something else, but I wasn't exactly sure what to do because I didn't have a college degree, and that's all I knew. Um, but I started to see there was a gap in robust education for executive assistants and administrative assistants. And it just didn't make sense to me because I knew as an assistant, I was running the lives of these executives. I, I had a lot of power actually. So it didn't make sense that they were always, they were growing, they were on this uphill journey or upward journey of development. And then here I am, their right hand person, and I'm not growing in my profession. And so that's what led me to that. I just saw this huge gap and created my training company. I'm making it sound easier than it was. It was not easy at all because in 1990, it was kind of unheard of. I actually pioneered an entirely new industry, and there wasn't admin specific training. So it was difficult at first. I got a lot of no's, a lot of rejections. I was just determined. I felt it was the right thing, and that it wasn't fair, and that organizations, they needed to invest in these people and value them as strategic partners. So I just persisted. I did have to learn a lot about training and objectives and running a business and adult behavior, how to get people to change behaviors. But I was a sponge. I was a self learner. I joined the American Society for Training and Development, and I'm still a member of that today.
Okay.
And then I also joined the National Speakers Association. I joined the Human Resource Association. So, like I said, I'm a self taught individual. But then, the great news was as I finally started getting out and working with clients and organizations, that also was my part of my learning. I had to learn everything from start, even how to write a proposal, how do I figure out my fees. And when you're new and you're novice, you just can't charge, you can't just come out of the gate with the big fee. You have to earn that and build your credibility. And so um, as I started out on the training and development arena, so I was solely focused on designing training programs, workshops that lasted full days or a half a day. So I was into the curriculum design and development, and then creating all the handouts, the materials, teaching. loving all of it. As I was out there, though, I started being asked by organizations if I would coach their executive and assistant on working together. So, which makes a lot of sense because if I'm talking to the assistants how to be partners with their executives, well, it's a partnership. So the executive needs to hear how to work alongside that assistant, how to better communicate, build a strategic partnership, what to delegate, how to delegate. So it was really, that's how I got into the coaching world. And so over now 35 years, I've coached over 300 executive and assistant teams. I've also coached executives privately um, in learning again how to delegate and work and build that partnership. And often they'll tell me, like, I'm really the one who needs training, not my assistant, because I have to learn what to do and how to do it and how to bring that person into my world.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
and learning how to be a coach there are some differences than being a trainer. There definitely are. And it's hard to be a coach because sometimes you have to say things people don't want to hear, but they need to hear. I mean, you do that in training too, but as a coach, like great coaches, they've got to uncover all these things and kind of unpeel the onion, as they say, or peel the onion and go deeper and deeper to be effective, with that coachee. So
Yeah,
that's kind of a
definitely.
short story.
Well, it's funny because as you were talking, I sorry. I one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was you kind of answered it partially, because you built this global company in a space that really didn't exist, like you said.
Mhm.
But you saw a need and you went for it, which is awesome because I think a lot of people shy away from that, especially
Mhm.
if you don't know that the need is out there. It's a lot harder to go and kind of sort of put yourself forth. What were some of the biggest challenges that you had to navigate because you were doing something so new? And there's kind of longstanding stereotypes when it comes to executive assistants and what their roles are. How did you navigate that to become, to get to where you are now?
Ability was one for sure. While yeah, building credibility and being knowledgeable. And so the way I was building credibility was you have to get published. Now today it's so easy because of the internet and everything, and you self-publish, all of that. It was much harder in those days. Researching magazines and trade journals and writing to the publishers or the editors and, saying, here's what I have to offer, and even paying a PR firm to get me into some of those magazines. But that's how you build that credibility. And today you still need to be published, but everybody in the world publishes everywhere, and all they have to do is write blogs. But being published in reputable industry magazines and so forth. And then another way, of course, to build credibility, you have to start getting in the trenches, right? So, through professional associations, sometimes I would get recommendations, just a lot of networking, but I also would research. Now, today you have LinkedIn and everything, but then you didn't have that. So you got to think back, that was not easy. Trying to research what are the top companies or what are those companies that could be potential customers, and I would write down the name of that company and who I could speak to, maybe who was in human resources or someone in a leadership role. I would make phone calls, which today you cannot cold call anywhere. Forget that. That does not work today because of all the security. And, unless you have a specific name to get to someone. So some of the things don't work anymore like they used to work. Yes, you have LinkedIn, which, that's huge in so many contexts, but you still have to build that relationship with an individual. And so there were many times I did work for free. You got to build a clientele list. And you're not experienced, so that's you're willing, you have to also be in the trenches. You actually have to do the job. You could read all you want about being a consultant or coach, but till you do it, you don't really understand the nuances,
Yeah.
and then you're going to get tripped up because that coachee or person throws something at you and you're like, okay, how do I respond to this now? Do I just back off and don't push it, or do I push it? Do I challenge them? And that just comes from experience and doing it over and over. And then, of course, getting feedback. They're going to
Yeah.
let you know if that worked or not. Your client's the one, right, who's going to tell you, oh my gosh, that was fantastic. We saw changes as a result, or here's what happened as a result. Work. So then getting testimonials is important, client testimonials that then you can, when you're putting something together, you have those testimonials on your website or in your proposals to those clients. So
Yeah.
those were some of the key ways in the early days. And just if you could just get started and you start to build a clientele, that really helps. And then, of course, always asking if they know of someone who might be able to use your services. And then, after a while, you start to get referrals. People will call
Yeah.
you, oh, I heard that you did great work for so and so. And just always keeping that great reputation. I think the other part of it is always going above and beyond what you're asked, with that
Yeah.
client. And don't worry about, well, am I getting paid for those extra 10 minutes? Don't worry about it. It's pay off in the long run,
Yeah.
because you're going to be remembered for that type of service. And then, of course, making sure you're doing a great job, very professional in terms of your proposals and the work. There's so many people out there that they take the lazy way out. They don't want to provide that extra material or content, or oh, just, you could take notes and record it. Well, when I'm coaching, yeah, we record the sessions, but I type a recap, or of course now AI could do that. But I still have to put my own input on what I gained and my recommendations. And I still have to use those human elements and critical thinking elements.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as someone who's been an executive assistant for years personally, I know how much that dynamic changes when you're viewed as a true like strategic partner rather than, some executives will think of you more as just, like do these tasks or calendar support. It's very different. How did you design your programs, especially the Star Achievement series, to elevate that relationship and help build real executive assistant like partnerships between them?
How did I design the course, did you say? Or,
Yeah, like how did you sort of you saw that need, right? The
oh,
strategic partner.
yeah,
Yeah, like
get
how did you
started.
figure that out
So,
to Mhm.
right, okay. Well, I first thought about what I had experienced. Again, because I had some outstanding executives who treated me like a strategic partner. So I knew hands-on. I also had executives who were just regular, like you said, task doer, order taker. So I knew from personal experience, but also talking to or interviewing assistants and or their executives on what did they do? What are their habits? What are their behaviors? What are their actions that make them stellar? Um, and then again, yeah, a lot of it was thinking back to the 20 years and where I've worked and why did certain EAs stand out where others did not stand out. And so I just put together this list of all these things that I had observed. What were the characteristics? What were the traits? Um, they incorporated, strategy. It wasn't just the task doer. It was
Right.
they were strategic too in what they were doing and what they were thinking. So I just had volumes of information, right? And that could be overwhelming. But then I had to organize it and create it into um, what made sense and how to build that program. So that that particular program is very strategically designed, where it's got progression and it gets harder as you go along. It becomes more complex, and that it becomes more complex with the content as well as the learning activities that we do. So making them more challenging. And I don't know. I just come up with ideas. I don't know what it is. Somehow it's in my DNA where I'm always trying to think about what else could I do instead of just brainstorming. That's so
And you're not afraid to try it, which is, I think,
yeah,
the biggest thing.
you're right. Exactly. You're right. That's perfect. It's just test it, do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Or you may
Yeah.
tweak it a little bit, for it. STAR was a little different than some of the other courses because it's a philosophy-based program, and so teaching people really a philosophy, a way of thinking, which also, though, I can kind of segue over to the regular coaching work too that I do, or individual training. It's really getting people to look at how they think about things. It's not a check off list of what to do. If you
Yeah.
want to really impact behavior change, you have to get that person to think differently about what's going on and then give them the tools to do it. But STAR Achievement's an entire, philosophy-based program of stellar performance. And to be able to be that star performer, it takes a combination of attitude, skill, teamwork, and strategy. And that's like the overall framework. And then I broke it, as you were saying, how did I do that? Well, I took all those pieces that I was telling you about, and what do they fit under attitude, skill, teamwork, or
Mm.
strategy? So that's how that framework started getting built. And it's still around 35 years later. I've updated that 17 times. It's like our
Oh,
flagship
wow.
program. It just got bigger and bigger because I would keep going back and fine tuning it and polishing it and updating the content. So that's that particular course. And then there are a lot of other, again, individual coachings and trainings and such. Um, but when I'm building a course, I mean, I see it in my head, and a lot of it is, experience, but I do the research. I definitely do a lot of research. If I'm speaking on resilience and I know, resilience from my own aspect or watching others, but then I will, yes, definitely, I would use Google. Now I use chat for it, and I'll just say, tell me more about resilience. But here's what I've got. And then I look at what it writes though, but I don't just accept that. Like, tell me more, give me more. What are the, so even though I'm working with AI, I'm challenge it to get more breadth.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you actually kind of led me in because I was going to switch gears a little bit, but you did it for me.
Okay.
Because like looking at the evolution of the profession, like you said, there's all these tools now, AI automation and stuff like that. And also, I feel like maybe like higher executive expectations, depending on the industry. What shifts have you been noticing, and what would you say assistants really need to focus on to remain an invaluable strategic partner in the field?
Uh, Definitely embrace the technology for sure because, well, it's here. We can't avoid it. Many executives and managers are wanting their assistants to use those tools, where a year ago I wasn't hearing it as much. But now I'm hearing, the executives want their assistants to use the tools as well as they're using the tools. So really getting familiar with the technology and taking the courses, whatever you need to do to get up to speed on that, and utilizing it, learning how to prompt, all of that, so that there's that technical side, right? But the other really important piece is working in tandem with AI, is what I call it. So it's kind of your partner
Yeah.
where you want to utilize it. It can definitely make your life simpler, streamline email, communications. If you have to draft something, and you're putting this letter together, but put it into AI and say, refine it, rewrite it, make it more professional, make it more friendly, whatever. And it's 10 seconds. You've got it. And
Mhm.
it will sound better than what
Yeah.
you wrote.
I know,
Uh,
it's crazy.
right? It is. And so it's wonderful for all of that. And then as the EA, though, an assistant still has to use her brain or his brain. I mean, that's still where you have to show your human differentiator, or you will
Yeah.
be replaced by AI. And, we're seeing it all the time in the news, the jobs that are people are getting booted out of their jobs. So I'm a big fan and talk a lot about you still, again, do the assessment, do the critically think about it, what it's written, using emotional intelligence within that, applying that to it. And the other thing that's really interesting is, at least right now, AI can't predict the future. Anything that's coming up, it's on existing, what's out there already.
Right.
This was a big one for me to learn. And so, as an assistant, you should be future focused, like what's on the horizon a month out, 2 months out, 3 months out, and then forecasting based on that and being proactive and making plans. And that's where the human element also comes into play.
Yeah. I know, I definitely think there is that fear around AI and automation, but I think if we use it, like you said, or like a strategic thought partner almost,
Mhm.
you know, you can have that partnership with the AI to help you as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
um, and what would you say do you think are like the biggest risks? Like if they don't start to evolve, the executives, assistants, really anybody, what kind of support do you think is going to matter most over the next few years? Like to just make sure that people continue to utilize the automation and stuff that's out there, but also still keep that human element, like you
Really
said.
keeping the human element, and making sure that, others see that human element, what you're doing by how you speak and articulating ideas, being a problem solver. Again, all the like people skills that we teach, the interpersonal skills is all we teach. And so using that intuition, as well. And if you don't stay, if you don't stay pace with it, and right now we're so all behind anyways, it's moving so
Yeah.
fast. It's crazy because I started using chat 3 years ago when it first came out.
Oh,
And the speed of which all of that is changing, you'll just get left behind. And when you get left behind, you're not going to be getting the assignments, the more robust projects or tasks. You're not going to be viewed as a strategic business partner in the workplace. You're going to be more the task doer,
right.
right? Personally, it definitely can be hard on you because if you were to have to seek a job elsewhere, or something should happen to your job, and now you've got to go interview again and such, then there's going to be people who are going to be ahead of you, and then you could lose out on job opportunities. You can lose out on promotions, and it's just going to go faster. So I just view it that if you're not kind of keeping pace right now, it will be so overwhelming, that it could swallow you up and definitely impact your career, on several levels.
Yeah, I know, like you said, because if you're not keeping up with it now, I feel like it's only going to continue to get even
I know
faster.
it's moving so fast it makes my head
Yeah.
spin. And it's so sophisticated today. Like you should hear it, see the conversations. I was just having them with chat before you came on board. I'm working on a course. And I'm like, no, no, I don't like it. That is, you just repeated yourself, you know, and it'll write back and say, I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. I did repeat myself. And I'm like, give me something better. That's not meaty enough. And I'm like, have this conversation.
I know it can kind of spiral sometimes. I've had
I
that
mean,
too.
but all of a sudden, like when you start learning and it learns you, you start to like, you actually do have this. I mean, it's crazy as it sounds, but it's cool. It's fascinating. It's don't be afraid of it, for anybody. And I'm not a techie person, but I have fallen in love with it. It's made my life so much easier and
Yeah.
simpler, and work increasing your productivity, and you sound better, more eloquent.
And
Yeah.
then you get to focus on the strategic part, right? That's the thing I
Yeah.
love about it. Like it can help cut out, like you said, emails super quick, like all of that. Those repetitive tasks can be done so much more quickly, and you can focus on the strategic part, like of building the program and things like that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, and it moves it along so much faster.
Yeah.
And then it'll kickstart my ideas. So then I get excited because I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So, and we all use it here in my office. I mean, I definitely encourage even the marketing team. I'll say, you don't need to spend, 45 minutes mapping that out. Throw your idea in chat, and in less than a minute, you're going to have,
Hmm.
the email campaign, you're going to have the 5 social posts, you're going to have the website copy. Like, and it doesn't mean I have no intentions of replacing this, but they have so much to do, or
Yeah.
replacing them. We have so much work to do here that it's a way of taking things off of them as well so they can focus on the strategy and some other pieces of their work.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's great that you're utilizing it and encouraging the team to utilize it too. Not everyone does, so. Well, thanks, Joan, for joining us. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed having this conversation with you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. It was fun. I appreciate it. The opportunity. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.